morning. It is great to have you here again today. If you've tuned in to this spot from the desk of the Executive Director of Back Bay Mission, as we live on the coast here, strengthening neighborhoods, seeking justice, and transforming lives. And I know my life has been transformed in the 3.5 weeks I've been at Back Bay. Just want to share this for those of you who are United Church of Christ folks or not. Found this great mug in our cabinet here. It says, "I have faith in Biloxi that God is still speaking." And one way that God is speaking, and I want to share a little bit today, as Kevin and I talked about what might be a great third episode, was really about volunteerism and about volunteers here at Back Bay Mission. I've got a long history myself with mission trips to various places like Haiti, Mexico, places in Tennessee, and third world places in this country. And outside of this country, I actually lived in Russia for 2 years and did some work for the Lutheran Church there in the emerging church. And working with volunteers that came over to teach English as a second language. And I'll tell you, volunteerism is really the lifeblood of Back Bay Mission in many ways. We have over 1,000 volunteers that normally would come down to the coast to work on building projects, to volunteer at Loaves and Fishes, to volunteer over at our Micah Center, in a whole bunch of capacities. And of course, during this time of COVID, the challenge has been that we haven't really had volunteers coming down. And just since I've been here, they're starting to kind of trickle back in, right? Smaller groups. We're doing everything we can to keep them as safe as possible. Mask, cleaning the areas, disinfecting the areas. We have a mission house here that can house many, many volunteers as they go on into the community to build, to rehab, and just to serve the populations here on the coast. I want to talk a little bit about the group that we just had here from Ohio. There are about 15 individuals from a couple of different United Churches of Christ in Ohio, and they worked on a home in an area that is experiencing what we call generational or ancestral poverty in Gaston area of outside Biloxi, actually over in our neighboring city. And they work on a house there, rehabbing the house really from the studs up so that it can be sold to a low-income family and so they can have that pride and that beauty of home ownership. And this week we had a group of 3 individuals in from Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, which is a place that actually I'm quite familiar with, small town. And these are folks that are a part of the UCC and the Catholic churches there, and have come down, have continued to work on the house. They've been painting, they've been doing some drywall, hanging some cabinets, finishing up what needs to be finished so it can go on the market to really provide housing and home ownership for a low-income family. And I want to share a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Those of you who know me know I've been a student of the civil rights movement for many years. I feel as if I really don't know that much yet because I feel like I'm really a lifelong student of that movement. And my goal in studying that movement is to really understand how it informs of movements for equity and justice today. And I think that movement in many ways, the civil rights movement, we had a lot of laws that emerged that really focused on equality, but it didn't necessarily change hearts and change actions. And people still hold bigotry and racism and homophobia and sexism and all those isms, right? Kind of in their hearts and their souls, even though sometimes laws have changed. So I think volunteerism helps transform our hearts, helps change our hearts, especially when we come into places and spaces where we're interacting and we're working with people that are different from ourselves. And so Martin Luther King said this about volunteerism. He said, "Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love." And I've been transformed already by the few volunteers I've worked with here at Back Bay Mission who come down with a heart full of grace and a soul that is generated by love, love for the other, Love for self is important. We're told that in many religious traditions. We love ourselves, we love others, and we love the God of our own understanding. And so I want to encourage you to consider a trip to Back Bay Mission. We need you, especially right now as we're resurfacing from COVID. We're doing everything we can possibly do to make the groups safe that come down and visit. It's an opportunity to work at the food bank, the clothing closet, to help individuals who are experiencing homelessness access showers and laundry facilities, and an opportunity to work on site here in the beautiful coast of Mississippi. And we promise to keep you as safe as possible. So I encourage you to consider volunteerism. If you've not been here, if you've been here, to really let that open your eyes, your hearts, your life, your mind, to maybe what we'd call the other, so that we realize there's no other, there's only us. I recently watched, and I'd like to close with this, a story of the life of Audrey Hepburn, one of my favorite actresses, and probably for some of you too. She struggled a lot during her lifetime, as we know a lot of actresses do, especially as they entered kind of Hollywood at an early age. But as she exited Hollywood and as she stopped acting, she became an avid volunteer. And that volunteering really gave incredible meaning to her life. And this is what Audrey Hepburn said. She said, as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping others and one for helping yourself. And I think that's really critical. So come down to Back Bay, give of your time, your talents, give of yourself. It will transform you. It will transform and strengthen the neighborhood in which you're working. And it's a way to really do justice in a really tangible way, to work for equity and to work for equality. So thank you for spending this time with us. In the future, Kevin and I are going to go kind of out on location, we think. Different locations that are important and meaningful to Back Bay Mission, and important and meaningful also to you as our audience, sharing in these moments together. So thank you. I will send you good energy wherever you are at, and hope that you have a really splendid day. Give of yourself. Remember what Audrey Hepburn said, that we have two hands. One is to help ourselves, and the other is to help others. So be blessed.